Hello, everyone. You are listening to the MSPoweruser Podcast. This is the podcast for the Microsoft enthusiast and power user. We discuss the latest news from MSPoweruser.com about Microsoft, Windows, Surface, HoloLens, Xbox, all that, and more. My name is Vernon E.L. Smith, and I'm joined, as usual, by Andy Bennett. Andy, what's up, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing all right, aside from getting used to using the universal Skype app for video call. Well, not really a video call, voice call in this instance, which we'll go into a bit later. The week's been pretty good, although I think we should make a note that we are recording a day early, so it's just a day shorter of week opinions. You know, getting 3 days out of the week when normally you'd get 4, I'm afraid.
That doesn't hurt a thing. We're okay with that, I believe. One thing that is a little bit off kilter from this week, or last week from this week, is that we are not using Blab to record the audio. And that is unfortunate. Blab died. Well, it was pulled. Basically, Blab was in beta the whole time. It's been around for a year or whatever. And they felt that it just was not doing what it was supposed to do anymore. It was not being productive, whatever that was for them. So it ended. So we're back to Skype. Skype is fine by me. I have not had a problem with Skype, and we're using that to record the audio.
Yeah, are you using the desktop app, the regular Win32 one?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and I'm using the Skype Preview, which got introduced with the anniversary update, so this should be interesting.
Mm-hmm. You know, I actually went to the store and tried to install that, and it just prompted me to install the regular one. So I don't know what I missed with that.
Bizarre.
Yeah. So not sure what I missed there.
Yeah.
Anyway, Windows Mobile anniversary update rolled out, pushed out to people. It did not come out at the same time as the RS2 basically anniversary update for PC. Let's call it Big Windows. But it got pushed out to the mobile devices, which, of course, is a much smaller slice of our listenership, but a dedicated slice.
I think the biggest slice of our listeners who have Windows 10 mobile devices are already running the Insider program, so they've likely been on this for a long time and then moved on from RS1 to RS2, which is now getting builds pushed out, but we'll talk about that later.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even see that this update happened. I didn't have a device. I have one laying around here somewhere, I'm sure, that's running stock, but nothing new to me, really. I mean, there's kind of the same old things. Notifications syncing, improved notifications in the Action Center, like dropping down and you see like a hero image, and you can respond right in there. And, of course, the Skype Universal Windows app, platform app, which we've been using for a while, and I'm very happy with that. It's not perfect, but it is great.
Definitely a better launch than the Outlook app, which I was excited for, and then now it just feels like it's been kind of abandoned, sadly.
Yeah, I kind of get that feeling as well with the Outlook for iOS. I use that quite a bit. I don't use the Outlook for Android too often, mostly just to fiddle around with it. But I definitely prefer Outlook for Windows Phone, Windows Mobile, to Outlook for iOS, even though that is very good.
Yeah, the Windows desktop version of that's what I was talking about, the universal one, because it just it was a good start, and it's just not getting the attention I feel that it needs now.
Let me ask you this: what is it you prefer on Windows Mail that's better than Outlook? I mean, I
not really,
love
not
Outlook
really
on
a preference of something else, but like there's so many little issues that feel like they could be smoothed out. Like the entire experience feels like it hasn't changed much from, say, Threshold 2 back in November to Redstone 1 right now. And there's a whole load of stuff like the way emails are rendered looks like Web 1.0 at times. The font defaults to Times New Roman, for example, which that alone makes it feel dated, if you get what I mean.
I totally agree with you on that. I guess I haven't really noticed too many of the changes because I'm just in Outlook. On the desktop, Outlook 2016. I mean, or Office 2016. No,
yeah, I probably should switch over to that sometime.
That's where all the That's the sandbox all the big kids play in. At least
I'm
me.
used,
I
I'm
prefer
used
it,
to something that looks stylish and has basic consumer features. Got to be honest here.
I guess I really do. I love the look of it. You can go grayscale on it, and it looks pretty nice. It's almost like a dark theme, not really, but it goes well with the rest of how you have your PC set up, probably. And
Didn't
just
the Office line get a dark theme earlier this year? Because I know it's available for PowerPoint and Word at the very least.
I should look a little bit more closely into that because I thought, I go grayscale with it, but I should try to go dark theme with it. Windows 10 Mobile, you have, Outlook in there obviously is dark theme, except for when you open up the actual email. And so that is a little bit jarring, especially going in landscape. You see the email preview on the right side, which is in white, and then the left side, which might be dark. And so that's, it's weird, but it's still, you can't really expect every email to get, what do you call it? Flipped, to switch to dark mode and actually see everything. So.
Anyways, moving on from our observations and thoughts on the anniversary update to some of the other stuff happening, there was a Windows Insider t-shirt design competition that happened. And they finally picked a design after some voting and entries and all. They settled on a final design which, alas, I can't really show a picture of it in audio, but it's a Windows logo filled with icons of various services and has a 10 on it. It looks nice. You can check out the post for this podcast and go to the link and actually see a picture of it. And so, as a quote from the announcement of the winner, they say that, in just a few weeks, we received some absolutely amazing designs from around the world. After a long and often heated selection process, including a vote by the Windows Insider community, our judges narrowed it down to 5 finalists before picking the ultimate winner. A beautiful design concept, by and I hope I'm saying his name right, E. Bautista from the United States. The final design below will soon be available on the E Company store. We'll let you know when it's ready. Thanks to everyone for participating, and congratulations to our finalists and ultimate winner.
So this obviously means that they're going to send out a free Windows Insider t-shirt to every Windows Insider, right?
If it was the size of the Vista beta test, they probably would.
This would be, tens of millions of insiders. I don't remember what the actual number is.
I think it's 8 million.
Oh, maybe it's that small, but nevertheless, it's still tens of millions of dollars worth of swag that they would be sending out.
They're gonna have to fax it to everybody. They're just gonna fax one design. You're gonna have to get some tape and get a white T-shirt. Have fun.
They could do that, or you could just go buy it. I wonder how expensive it'll be. Maybe I don't know. What do you think?
Expect maybe $10 to $15 maybe.
Well, I think they'd be making a profit at $15. Obviously, I wonder if they could get away with as cheap as $8 and just cover their costs. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems to be through a third party since it says E Company store. So I don't know how much they'd have.
Nevertheless, even just selling 1 million of these, they're going to certainly cover that upfront cost of whatever company they go through is going to get a boost in.
Definitely,
they're going to be happy with the boost they get. So
yeah. And,
anyway,
speaking of boosts,
well, let me cap this off here.
Okay.
My point is that if you want to see this design and you want to go buy one, obviously, go to MSPoweruser.com and find this article and take a look at this. I think it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, we've got it. For those who might have not seen it or might not be aware, we have a little notch in the sidebar that shows the latest episode of each podcast. And in there, you can see a summary of all the articles we went over in the week. So you can go in there, take a look at the article name. It's check out the winner of the Windows Insider t-shirt design competition. You can go in there, see the shirt. Easy as that.
So do it, folks.
Yeah.
All right. So Windows 10 build 14905. The next, basically RS too. This build has been released to insiders for mobile and PC. What did I say? 14.905 is what this one is. And lots of improvements. Not really much for features. That's kind of how it is. Andy, you want to cover what they've added for PC here?
Sure. So for PC, it's all just mostly fixes now, but here's a pretty big one. They've fixed an issue causing a large blank space to appear between the address bar and web content after the address bar moves back to the top when opening a new tab in Microsoft Edge. I've seen an amount of complaints about this so high on my Twitter feed that I couldn't even count them all. And have you had that issue, Vernon?
I'm not running Insider on the PC.
Yeah. This was before Insider, like with regular anniversary update, and even before that, there was a bug where like it says here, there would be a large blank space between the address bar and web content on Edge.
No, I haven't noticed it, I suppose.
Yeah, I haven't run into it personally, but I'm not the heaviest Edge user of all time, just because I have one setup with Firefox I've used for the past 3 to 4 years, and I can't move.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, they also updated the narrator scan mode for table navigation to now support Control-Alt-Home to go to the beginning of the table, and Control-Alt-N to go to the end of the table. And also speaking of Control, Microsoft Edge now supports the Control+O keyboard shortcut for setting focus to the address bar. I never knew that shortcut existed for anything.
I like that.
Yeah, and they also fixed an issue resulting in Sketchpad and Screen Sketch crashing after trying to change the ink color twice in a row when the ruler was visible. Sometimes you look at these change logs and you see little bugs that's like, wow, I'm glad they caught that, but I can see why it slipped by once or twice.
Exactly. That's just surprising, I guess.
It's extremely specific stuff. Some of it for like common tasks like the Edge thing, I guess. Sure, you open a new tab, the address bar moves up, something messes up. But this one, far fewer users, I'd imagine, and far more specific,
Mm-hmm. For mobile, we've got a few improvements and fixes, of course. The missed call notifications are now more actionable. It's going to offer the inline options to either call back, text, or remind yourself to do something about it later. Some of that was in there to begin with, and we've improved upon it. Microsoft fixed an issue where videos played in Windows Phone 8 apps might not pause when an incoming call was received. That's a good thing to fix, but we should not be having too many Windows Phone 8 apps here anymore. Should be getting phased out, hopefully.
Yeah, and also, again, pretty specific issue,
Mm-hmm. They fixed an issue where if Show My Caller ID is set to My Contacts, the contact being called might see a blocked caller ID. And that's pretty specific as well. An issue where the lock screen might fail to update to the new time after a time zone change. That's pretty important, and I'm glad that they're fixing that one. And of course, fixing an issue resulting in music not resuming after a call was finished. Also, if turn-by-turn directions being read out from the Maps app when the phone call came in. I noticed that one actually.
I was going to say again, specific issue, but no, you actually ran into this one.
Well, I mean, imagine I'm driving. I'm listening to music through my Bluetooth in the vehicle. I have navigation going, which I would, maybe, 1 out of 10 times I'm driving, depending on where I'm going. And I'm almost always making phone calls. I pretty much make all my phone calls in the vehicle because I'm multitasking that way. That's when I have time for phone calls. And so a combination of those three things you're doing with your phone can bog it up a little bit. And not that it's a real big deal, but I do see when I do not get the music to restart. And that is a problem. I want to go back to what I was doing.
You're gonna have to pull the car over to get 2-Pack playing again.
Yeah. And that's I don't know.
One thing I want to say really is about the first change in this, about the missed call notifications being more actionable. I just want to say that actionable notifications are probably my favorite improvement that 10 has gotten. Or rather, introduced.
They're pretty important, and the stuff that you can do with them is good.
I'm impressed, or not impressed. I'm amazed, rather, that so many developers aren't using them. Like, even Twitter's official app doesn't have actionable notifications when every third-party client I can think of does. Although, mind you, the only one I've used personally, I've used, Tweetium. I used that like once, and I used Tweetin, or Tweet It. Yeah, Tweet It. I use Tweet It just for the notifications, and it's a good app anyways, but because of Twitter's restrictions on third-party apps, it's kind of hard to use at times, but the actionable notifications are legitimately great.
Yeah. What other issues do we have for PC, Andy?
Well, the same one is one that I think we covered in last week's podcast, because I remember saying, well, I'm not the guy to ask about kernel debugging. They said it again. Support for kernel debugging over 1394 has been removed, but will be available in an upcoming kit release. A workaround will be posted to the debugging tools for Windows blog shortly. All right, the debugging tools for Windows blog bit is new, but otherwise, same situation as last week. I know nothing about kernel debugging. I don't think Vernon does.
No, I do want to cover this next one. I love this one.
Okay. This is another repeat. We're dealing with reruns.
Adobe Acrobat Reader crashes when you try to launch it. Basically, you can't run Adobe Acrobat Reader.
Some would consider this an improvement.
Exactly. That's kind of why this is an interesting one. And depending on how your relationship with Adobe, most people have a love-hate relationship with Adobe.
I think that just about everyone has a hate relationship with Adobe Reader, though.
That's true. Yeah, I have the I don't know what version it is, a paid version of the PDF reader I need to use at work for actually editing things and extracting pages and that, adding signatures and that kind of stuff. And obviously, I wouldn't pay for it myself, but my work needs that. Anyway, sorry, I had to piratize that one. I had to take that one over. That was interesting.
Yeah. And so now on to the new issues, which obviously this is the fun stuff. Everyone loves new things, especially when they're issues. Cortana's text-to-speech capabilities are not working in this build. For example, Cortana won't be able to read text messages out loud to you, tell jokes, sing, or give verbal prompts.
Kind of a big deal.
If apparently, she's just been kind of silenced. She's scared. All these people say, "Hey, oh boy, I'm not gonna have a repeat of the 1 week where we searched for Sharknado by mistake, so I'm gonna avoid saying it. But just put in the activation greeting, Cortana. No, okay.
Did it still fire up? What you got to do? What you got to do is say, "Hey, VA," as in virtual assistant.
Hey, virtual assistant. Please don't open. Okay, good. It's not. It tried to, but it's not. Okay, virtual assistant, go be quiet. Go sit in a corner and be quiet. Don't say a word. And that's what happened with this build, I think. One too many angry people shouting at Cortana. She's just hiding in a corner. And, yeah. And then this one here is a really big issue, and this build in general seems to be pretty buggy, and I think I'd suggest staying on release preview or just stable until the actual changes start getting in here, because you're getting almost zero changes and just a pile of bugs right now, because all the improvements are under the hood. Anyways, when clicking on the power button on the start menu, it closes the start menu without opening the flyout with restart/shutdown options appearing. As a workaround, you can right-click on the Start button or use Win+X and choose to shut down via this menu instead. That is a pretty huge issue. And I'm really glad that I don't know if they still call it the Power User menu they did back in the Windows 8.1 days, but Windows Key plus X, that is something I quit using a lot. But still very handy to have, and I'm glad it's there, especially for this build. I assume they'd deem it unreleasable if it wasn't there. Because, hey, Windows Insiders, you're going to have to, hit Win plus R, type CMD, going to go shut down, and that's the only way you can shut your PC off. I doubt they'd release a build if that was the case,
Yeah.
And then other ones, apps such as Yahoo Mail, Trivia Crack, Google, and the Skype Translator Preview app will crash in this build due to a compatibility issue from a recent platform change. Kind of curious as to what the platform change was. Maybe something boring, but there's always a chance it was something actually interesting, seeing how they're getting everything in place for Redstone 2, where all the big, great ideas are supposed to come on in.
Let me read this again. Yeah, saying Skype Translator Preview app not crash will crash in this build due to compatibility issues from a recent platform change. Now, Skype, the back end of Skype is changing. It's changing from peer-to-peer to, well, I guess server-based, whatever you would call that. But I'm not sure about the other ones. I don't know if that is the platform change they are referring to.
I do wonder if it's if every single one of those is a web app. Because I know the Yahoo Mail app is. I remember seeing reviews that were people confused, thinking, I don't think Yahoo would release an app that's just a browser. Well, guys, you're mistaken.
Yeah.
Trivia Crack, I don't know. It might be. Maybe it's one that was built with a bridge from iOS or Android. Maybe that's it. And the Google app, very likely. No, actually, I don't think it's just a web app, but
I'm not surprised that the back end changed for a Google app that broke something on Windows.
The platform change was on Windows end, not theirs, I'd assume. Trying to think of the one thing they all have in common, and the potential thing is that they're all built with various bridges from other platforms, like the iOS, the Android, and the web bridges. That might be it.
That could be so. Yeah, maybe you're right.
And then the Settings app may crash on certain editions of Windows 10 when navigating to different settings pages due to a missing DLL file. We're working on getting this fixed soon. I'd assume that would be like N editions, like the ones that are released in like Korea and stuff and lack any media players or whatever.
That I don't know enough about, apparently.
Yeah, there's a lot of editions, because there's the various Home, Pro, Enterprise, Education. Those are standard, but then as far as I know, there's N versions of all of those, which are due to which I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they exist solely for the purpose of complying with some countries' laws on distributing various software with your operating system.
Interesting. Well, the known issues for mobile are not nearly as long, but of course the mobile OS is a little bit smaller than big Windows. So to begin with, if you move apps between an SD card and the internal storage, back and forth or forth and back, either way, those apps will get stuck in a pending state. The workaround to get your apps working again is to uninstall the app through settings, system, storage, of course, and then you can reinstall the app from the store. You need to go through storage itself, not from the all apps list, just a long press on your right, the all apps list on the right. I'm not sure why that is, but that's the same place that you move the apps as well. You need to go through the storage settings in there, and that's where you would move it one way or the other. This has been an issue occasionally. Sometimes it takes a reboot to fix it anyway. And I know even on Android, when this was first available, between SD cards and, the internal storage and an SD card, there's plenty of reasons that this could get goofed up, and most of the time it should not happen too often anymore. Andy, has this been an issue you've had? Obviously you're not running a Windows Phone, but how often does this happen on an Android app? I suppose I don't know if you're using an SD card on that thing.
I actually don't use an SD card with my phone. I've got everything with because the Google Photos app has an option where you just delete everything on your device that's already backed up, and I do that enough, and not really an issue for me storage wise. Mm-hmm. My only apps are Firefox, Twitter, and of course a couple Microsoft apps, but that's not enough to get it loaded,
Mm-hmm.
Saves me like $20, so I'm not gonna worry too much.
Yeah, I did get a 64 gig SD card. It was a high, not a class 10, but the next level up. It was a UHS 1 class 3, I think. And I don't know what it was. It was not cheap at the time. And I used that. I end up filling that up, filled it with music, put movies on there, video, like all types of stuff, mostly just to try it out. That's when that was on an insider build, and I wanted to see how well it was working. And it worked, mostly very well, better than I expected. There was no read-write lag, especially, even from 1080p or 4K video writing, I should say, to the card, and I was pretty happy with that. This is on my Lumia 950, of course. But as far as apps, I only have about 8 gigs or so total phone storage that I'm using on there because I swap it out often enough, get a new device often enough. So this is something I've encountered, obviously, in the past, and I would imagine now I'm going to encounter it here. But I just keep all my apps on the phone storage anyway. Isn't a concern for me.
I almost bought an SD card, but I walked into the Verizon store and I expect to see maybe $10 to $15 or something for the prices. The only ones they have are above 20, and I felt so bad walking out because the guy who I asked to show me where the SD cards are complimented my shirt, and it's like, wow, that guy's nice, but it's just that feeling of guilt where you walk out of the store buying nothing because the people who work there are nice people.
Well, Andy, a little bit of reality here, buddy. Young Andy. Verizon folks, at least my part of the country, are they're straight up sales folk, and they're,
I'm sure.
And I have no doubt that he actually liked your shirt. That's not surprising, but that
it's a strategy that works on poor people like me. However, it simultaneously doesn't, because poor, in a different meaning, people like me.
Well, I am surprised that they had any SD card that was as cheap as $20 there, because I know how Verizon works, and I'll just say
the Walmart over here had one for under 15, so it's still a price gouge. But I was curious as to the actual limit of what my phone could handle, and I was like, okay, I'll just go in there and ask them, because they're right next to a store I buy groceries from.
Yeah. Well, not to dwell on this too long, but Andy, when it comes time for you to get an SD card, if that's something you want to do, come bug me about it, and we'll see. No, really, because I actually did a little blurb on detailing what you want in an SD card and the different read-write speeds and all that kind of hokey, nerdy stuff on a different podcast. And
I'll have to check that out then.
Let me know. I'll help you with it. The last known issue for this build for mobile, basically the same as for desktop, Cortana's text-to-speech capabilities are not working on this build. That's pretty lame. Really lame. Can't hear any jokes from Cortana. Whoops, I said her name. I don't know. I didn't launch this way. But, they better get that fixed.
It's funny that you mentioned the jokes thing, because my little brother, the same one who I gave the Lumia 435 to, for school, for whatever reason, they wanted him to mention a knock-knock joke or something in a paper, and he couldn't think of one, so he just opened up Cortana on the phone and just went, hey, tell me a joke.
Nice.
So it does have a use.
Cool. Well, one thing that Microsoft is doing is, in their mobile strategy, it does appear that they're not caring as much about Windows 10 mobile. We tend to have that mentality sometimes to become frustrated, or just like, Microsoft gave up, blah, blah, blah. And whether that's true or not, that's not for us to really, we don't know. But they continue to have a great mobile strategy on the other two main operating systems, iOS and Android. One thing that they're doing is this Microsoft Authenticator app, which has been out for those two platforms for a while. Android longer than iOS, but we're getting updates to it. So for
worth
example,
mentioning, just to interject here, it is coming to Windows phones by the end of the week.
Yes.
So by the time the podcast is up, it should be out.
We'll see. I am looking forward to this. There is, it wasn't an Authenticator app for Windows Phone, Windows 10 Mobile. It was like Microsoft Account app or something, which was similar. Anyway, this Authenticator app for iOS and Android increases, ups the user experience, gives a little bit of a facelift. They say it is the best in breed multi-factor authentication experience through one-click push notification. That's great. And to be fair, Google does this pretty well with their Authenticator app too. Support for wearables, that's pretty cool. You can use an Apple Watch or a Samsung Gear. I would love it if it used Band 2 as well for the Windows Phone app. I don't know if that's coming or not. You can use your fingerprint instead of a passcode. That's wonderful. And it's really easy to expect that Microsoft would do that with an Authenticator app, at least for big Windows, as far as, biometrics, Windows Hello and what have you, whether it's iris scanner, or I guess on the desktop it's facial recognition, or your thumbprint and whatever. And Microsoft has built a pretty good foundation as far as the iris scanner Windows Hello portion on Windows 10 Mobile. And they keep talking about how this is going to roll out to Edge and things like that. And you'll be able to use that for logging into things. And we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. As of right now, I did not know if that is coming with the Windows 10 Mobile app. But of course it is. It's available. The fingerprint part is available on iOS and Android. And it offers certificate-based authentication. This is support for like enterprise customers who sign in through a certificate instead of a password. So this is good, and it is something Microsoft is doing well. They're keeping up with security. It's not as sexy of a thing or whatever, but it is pretty important. And oddly enough, it is actually getting more publicity than than other features might. But this is just this is good.
And speaking of apps even more, the third-party Snapchat client Spectre has been updated to version 2.0, and I think that might be the last Snapchat client for Windows Phone that's still working. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not an expert, although I do know that, or rather do remember hearing that it would quit working later this year as Snapchat's changing their API to break third-party clients, and Spectre just piggybacks off the API for another client.
Yeah.
So it's going to be busted, but it's still getting updated at least. So that's nice.
It's good. Snapchat's never going to make a Windows 10 mobile app. If somehow they did, see, here's the thing: Snapchat is becoming so commercialized, and not necessarily in a bad way. This is what happens to these things. It's becoming so commercialized that bigger companies are putting so much effort into the product that they're posting, this content. And so perhaps it might get to the point where they're going to use Snapchat on the web, even if it's like a paid or like an exclusive type, not web, I'm sorry, maybe web, but like an app on the PC, to where you could build and share your content that way. I'm not predicting this is going to happen, but I can see why it could. And if possibly they put up an app for Windows 10, who knows? Maybe they're going to slip in that Windows 10 mobile app. This is not me even wanting this. I really don't care. This is just the way business
Snapchat is like
go.
The opposite of what I'm looking for with a photo service. Like, I was never a Flickr user, although if I was, I'd probably be a big one. But the thing I'd like is like a professional photo sharing site where, you can share, nice professional looking photos in a way that isn't social media. Snapchat's the opposite of that, But anyways,
well, I do feel it's getting better, and not in a way that I really like or care about, but that it is becoming more professional, and it's just focusing on making money, and that's capitalism, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, that's how things work. So Spectre's improvements, with version 2.0, you can log in with your existing account, send image and video message. I don't think that's a change log.
No, it's not a change log, but it is different than... Some of this was not there. You could not log in with an existing account to begin with. You had to
really?
You had to create one. So I'm not,
Okay.
but I think some of this has already been fixed up. But the point is that this list is basically what you can do with it, which is most of what you do with Snapchat.
All right. So you can receive text, image, and video messages, mark messages as viewed, screenshot or replayed, send or accept friend requests, delete or block friends, view and post day messages, add text on top of images and videos with a built-in editor.
What more do you need from Snapchat, right? Well,
An actual good service.
yeah. So obviously we are neither Andy or I are big fans of Snapchat, but whatever. I'm not going to dwell on it. So one thing that I am a huge fan of, and I believe Andy may even be a bigger fan of this, is Microsoft Bing Rewards, which has, let's take a moment and cover Bing Rewards a little bit anyway. I mean, do you use this at all, Andy? Bing, I mean, I know you do a little bit.
I'm easily bribed.
Okay, so why is this a bribe? What do you get out of it?
I was kind of kidding with that, but honestly, it's what got me to start using Bing.
Yeah.
Because basically the same search results as Google, except you get $5 Amazon gift cards every couple of weeks for searching.
So they just, every 2 weeks, every 14 days, they send you money?
Well, you get points for searching. Those points are rather credits, if we're going to go with the official name. You get one for every 2 searches. There's bonus offers, and recently some of those bonus offers have been exclusive to Microsoft's Edge, but there's things like trivia where you answer the question, get up to 3 points, click this, go to an article, get 1 extra point. It's a pretty simple system that's really, really good. I mean, you can get Xbox Live cards and membership. You can get Windows Store cards. You can get Groove Music Pass. I think they've just got the 1-month card, but you can get $5 Amazon gift cards. $10 Amazon gift cards, I think, might still be available. Not sure. You search enough, you get a discount on everything. And it's just this really simple and really nice system that makes Bing... Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that make Bing worth using, but this is what made it worth using for me.
And this is one of the things... Well, I was already using Bing before Bing Rewards came out, and I think I began using it right away. They had extra bonus stuff to get you bumped up, to get you started on it. There used to be a referral program. I don't know if you were part of it when there was a referral program.
Oh,
Andy,
I was, and there still is one, but it's nowhere near as good as it used to be. It used to be you refer someone, they get to gold or silver status, actually, and you instantly get enough money for a $5 gift card. Not money, but points for $5 gift card.
Wow. Well, when I first used it, I just by using it as one of the newer folks or whatever, I think when it was still in beta, maybe I got extra OneDrive storage, and that was kind of nice. And that I think
I got the OneDrive storage too. Actually, I've still got that. I completely forgot about that. It even happened.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good things in there. I really don't use it too much, so every time I search, whatever browser it is, I have Bing Rewards enabled. And even on the mobile it took a couple extra steps to make sure that got hooked in, but that wasn't, it was totally worth it, of course. And so sometimes I've gotten, like for 500, or I guess with the discount, 480 credits, you could get $15 off Flowers to Go, I think is what it's called, or some online flower shop thing. So for a couple years, my wife got flowers a lot more often than she used to, and they've discontinued that specific promo, which was easily the best value. $15 off for 480 points is great. One really good one, too, is that they had a $10 Microsoft gift card for the same thing, 480 or 460 points, which is great.
And there's also constant sweepstakes, which that's pretty nice if you're into those.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're into getting your hopes up and winning nothing, that is.
Yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I've threw a few credits at those things occasionally, but really just save up, and even if it's just a $5 Microsoft gift card that you get, share it with a friend or like whatever,
But anyways, what the changes to Bing Rewards is that it's becoming Microsoft Rewards, and it's something that everything stays the same, except it doesn't, in a way. It should be, as far as I can interpret this, it seems to be something that will be rolling out in waves, like with every change recently. Over the next coming weeks, you should see it with plans. I think the plans are to get everyone on it by October. And points are now called credits. Or, wait a second.
Vice versa.
Vice versa, yeah. Credits are now called points. One Bing Rewards credit will equal 10 points, which is weird because they're adjusting everything. All the values should be the same, except there's just an extra digit on the end. I don't really get that whatsoever.
See, to me, that's kind of opposite. I mean, that's opposite from inflation, for example. As inflation grows, a number is actually less valuable compared to actual intrinsic, monetary something. And so I'm surprised that this is.
In this instance, they just multiplied everything by 10.
I don't know.
That's weird.
Whatever.
But it says that if you had around 500 credits on Bing Rewards, you already have 5,000 points on Microsoft Rewards. You get points for using Edge now.
Which is huge. Okay,
yeah.
That's
you get
pretty much
rewarded
the point
for
of it,
using Microsoft Edge. I mean, I guess they found that, people switch to Bing because of Bing Rewards. Well, maybe we can get them to switch to Edge because of Microsoft Rewards, which, again, you already got like maybe 3 or 4 points from using Edge already, which that's not much. But now you're going to get a lot more, and I believe it's based off for each hour of using Edge, you get X amount of points.
Yeah, it's based off of active hours of browsing. So I would say in a week I would get about maybe an hour of browsing myself. I don't spend time on the web. I don't spend time in front of my PC. I mean, I use Edge, I would say about 75% of the time, and IE another 11 another 20%, and then just Firefox and Chrome maybe the last 5% if I need to get in there for some odd thing. But now that Blab is gone, I really have even less reason to use Chrome or Firefox.
Yeah, and then another change, which, excuse me, doesn't make too much sense to me, I guess. Gold members are now Tier 2 members. Bing Rewards had 3 tiers of members. Bronze, which was starter. Silver, which was after getting X amount of points, and that was only really used for referrals because that was the goal of, they get to Silver in a month. Okay, here's your referral bonus. The only bonus to Silver was a couple of extra credits and a little note that says, hey, you have bragging rights. Then Gold members got a 10% discount on everything. Well, now Gold members are Tier 2 members, which is the same thing, except you don't have discounts on non-Microsoft rewards like, like Amazon gift cards, so, You still get it on Microsoft rewards, but, non-Microsoft ones? Sorry, guys.
So I'm reading on this. Tier 2 levels have earn more points than Bing. Save up to 10% on rewards for Microsoft brands. Okay. Oh, I see. That's the difference there. I'm sorry. Basically, the difference being that... Okay. The point being that the discount is only for Microsoft stuff. Just maybe listeners understood that clearly, but I didn't.
Oh. Okay.
So, but yeah, looking that up here. I want to jump back for just a moment here, though. You said you get points for using Edge, obviously, based off of your hours of active browsing. That is only if you have Bing set as the default browser. Now, many people listening will already be using that. I would hope so. But, that's kind of a good point. If you're not using Bing, if you're using Google as your browser, you are still a good human. That's fine. But I'm interested why you feel Google is that much better. Now, there are specific instances I've heard of. I believe these people that if they're searching on a very granular, specific level and like whatever, that's the Google might be better.
Yeah, if I want to find images of Michael Cera holding a watermelon, then Google is my go-to search engine.
So you're telling me that Bing Images wouldn't do that?
Is rather that from what I've seen, and I like the interface of Bing Image Search. They have a lot of better features. When it comes to deep granular specifics, Google does have the edge over it in that area. But again, I excuse me. Oh man, I've been dried out tonight. I don't think that most people are going to go looking around for stuff like images of Michael Cera holding up a watermelon. So, yeah.
Well,
it's
that
just
is
it's
pretty
just for
specific.
Deep specific stuff.
And I use Bing, even if perhaps I am missing a little bit on the actual search results, which I've never noticed that. I use it for all the other things. Bing rewards for one, but I mean, even just the background image. I'm sorry, I'm a human that I do have emotions in there somewhere, and I think it's kind of cool to see a nice picture.
Point one, I actually think you're a podcasting robot. Point two, I like the image too.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's reasonable, and
I especially like it when they integrate it into services like the Arrow Launcher, where you can get which the Arrow Launcher is for Android, by the way, but you can get the Bing Bing image as your background or lock screen or whatever, and that's nice.
Which is something my Windows Phone has done for a while and is very awesome and continues with Windows 10 Mobile.
Yeah, it was available since like Windows 7 as an optional update.
Maybe the very end of Windows 7 or maybe Windows 8, Windows Phone 8. It wasn't.
No, not for Windows Phone, but rather for Windows Desktop.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Windows 7 had it available as an optional update. That was a Bing search bar on the desktop, and that added the image.
Nice.
Yeah,
cool.
It's a nifty thing to have around. Although I like to stick to one particular background image.
Mm-hmm. Cool. What else you got for us in an area in which I know nothing about?
This is an area where I'm going to force you to join in sometime. It's going to be like one of those one of us sequences. On to Xbox news, where I get to take over for a while. Well, another Xbox One preview build's released, and while we don't have a podcast every single day, if we did, you would hear every single day a new Xbox One preview build has released. And the recent ones have not really been very impressive. The speed they're coming out at is impressive, and there's no reason to complain about them or anything, don't get me wrong, as every single one is a bug fix update. That's not a bad thing, as the Xbox One definitely had enough bugs to iron out. And I believe we're at the point where the next stable release build is going to head out on the console, because this one fixes only one bug. It is one entire build for one bug. I don't think we've even seen this in a Windows Phone or desktop.
Probably not. Not that I can recall. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one bug, and that was an issue which would cause installation errors with certain universal apps. Yay. However, there has been one feature that will be in this next stable update, and this one was added a couple of preview builds ago. And it's a shocking, revolutionary feature, because for those who aren't familiar, when you turn on the Xbox One and push that Xbox logo in, you hear a little chime. It goes do-do-do-do or whatever, and it's something you instantly forget about because it's just like not even a second long. Well, it turns out that some people really, really noticed it and wanted to shut it off. Vernon, I think this is a high-profile change. I'm not sure about you.
I think it is actually. I have something to say about this. Record the date and time. To me, when I live in a house where there's other humans. I mean, you do too as well, obviously. But I'm up at different hours of the day, especially early, and I try to be quiet for my family. Our house isn't enormous, but it's enough where I can do my thing in my own space and not really interrupt anyone. But sometimes, if I had an Xbox, for example, out in the living room, that really wouldn't annoy anyone either. But if I had it in the bedroom and I was going to game at night, and I knew I was going to do it silently with headphones or like whatever. But if I had to fire up the Xbox, someone would hear that, and I mean, my wife wouldn't be upset. It would just be something that I try to keep quiet so that she can sleep. She's a light sleeper. So I think this is awesome. Actually, I think it's very wise, and it's one of those. Maybe not a lot of people really complained about it, but I think now it's
There was actually apparently a significant amount of people who wanted the ability to shut this thing off. Just it annoyed a lot of people, I guess.
I think it's funny. I think it's good. Oddly, going on this roll here, I have something to say about the next article here, item thing.
Okay.
Final Fantasy, which I'm aware of, okay? It's a game, all right? That's about the awareness of it. I know that's been out for freaking ever. And apparently, there are 14 versions of this, and the 15th version has been delayed until November 29th.
I just want to say that this isn't counting, that Final Fantasy 15, technically this isn't even the 15th, or rather, this is far past that, because they hit the point where they had stuff like Final Fantasy X-2. There were 3 Final Fantasy 13s. It was a trilogy with the same number.
Wow.
So yeah, and combine that with spin-offs, I think we're past 20 Final Fantasies already.
That's crazy. And I guess maybe
it's still going strong, I guess. And any franchise that starts now, it'll die off after like 3 entries.
Yeah, a new franchise could last only 5 years and not touch this. I mean, like it would pale in comparison for lasting. Yeah.
It's just like Star Wars in a way that you can't kill it. No matter how much George Lucas tried, he couldn't kill it.
Yeah, I'm glad someone else took the reins there. Anyway, this has been, I guess. Oh yeah, change was done to prevent a day one patch from taking ages to download for people with slow internet. Okay, that's good. Something interesting here is that Amazon has a 20% off discount for these pre-orders, and that is.
Actually, I think we need to talk about the actual article itself, since I don't think we did. Final Fantasy 15, which they had a huge event, which I think was in Los Angeles, to unveil the release date. That was September 29th. It kind of got delayed after all the money on the event. After all the promotion, it's pushed back till November 29th. And like Vernon said, this was a change that was done to prevent people from having to download a day one patch, which might take ages to download, as the version that was on the disc originally was just a blank, not exactly a blank slate, but it was an unpatched version. There was going to be patches. They didn't want people with low internet caps or slow internet connections to spend days downloading it. And so they're delaying it so that they can not only get that patch developed, but have it put on the disc that they ship out.
Yeah, I think this is actually really wise, because a day one patch is annoying, especially for a brand new game. And it's something that you're getting, especially if it's a big patch. I think in such a high profile, just so broadly used game, I think this does make sense, and I think that the overall user experience is going to be great. I would imagine that as far as Final Fantasy, there's a larger percentage of strong enthusiasts that are still not, how do I say this, that lean more towards a regular consumer. I think I can see how an enthusiast for this, their parent may actually know that this is coming out from more of the general public, or like, the Target ad or whatever, and go get it for them. And that way, maybe I'm over elaborating here,
but just to mention though that like I bought Halo 5 the other day since I had just taken some money back from a loan. Well, I feel like a real adult now, even if I have been for a while. But anyways, I get that. I go and I put it in the Xbox. It installs to the Xbox. I try to start it up. It has a 42 gigabyte update.
Oofda. That's what we say up this way. Oofda.
I had to upgrade my internet plan to play Halo 5 without setting my console to offline mode. I had to disconnect it from Xbox Live and everything every single time I wanted to start the game up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then of course you have to reconnect right after getting out of it because you want everything else to start working again. And so I had to shell out $15 for an extra 100 gigs to play Halo 5 online. 42 gigabytes.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm glad they're doing this change because I'm not exactly a fan of the direction things are heading when it's really highway robbery to keep upgrading my internet plan here, because it's $15 extra a month for 100 gigabytes, which is oof.
Well, it's unlimited here, and I think I have a 50 gig plan for the phone for everyone on the phone. But
Oh man, you're lucky.
I don't.
But,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, back to the task at hand. Amazon has 20% off discounts for video game pre-orders if you are an Amazon Prime member, and that brings the price of Final Fantasy 15 down from $60 to $48. It's insanely good to get, and you can use our link in the article, which again you'll find the big list of podcast articles on our site. You can use the link in that article to help support us. It's an affiliate link. We get a little share. Doesn't add any money, any cost to your order. Totally out of Amazon's pocket. That's, if you want to help support us, that's there. Anyways, moving on to the next subject, since we're getting towards the end of the podcast here. Games with Gold, if you're an Xbox Live Gold member, you get free games every month. Technically, free, air quotes, as you're paying $10 a month for service, but regardless, think of it as a little bonus for the price. Anyways, though, this month's were 4 games or so. There was Warriors Orochi, then there was Spelunky, which is no longer available, and a game I can't even remember. It was so small and forgettable they didn't even have it listed in promo material. But anyways, now that some of the games have switched out, you can now get WWE 2016, which in the show notes I mentioned I wanted to put a John Cena joke here, but I can't think of one.
Is John Cena someone to joke about? I think people need to take him very seriously, right? Maybe that is my joke, because really.
Anyways, though, WWE 2016 and Beyond Good and Evil HD, which I have not played Beyond Good and Evil yet, but I hear it's a classic, so I'm gonna check that out soon. But yeah, stuff that it isn't automatically added to your account. You have to go into the Xbox One store. You can go under memberships, Xbox Live, and just get those for no additional cost. It's something that there's really no downside to doing. So, hey, technically free stuff if we're going to go by what marketing says. Go for it.
Nice. Well, one thing, we always talk about Windows Insider, and Microsoft obviously has Xbox Insider. They also have Xbox Game Preview program for Windows 10. And this is interesting to me, but I don't know enough about it. Andy, explain this. I'm one of the listeners now. I want to learn more about this.
All right, so this is kind of interesting because to get back to the start of this story, to say what it is, Steam Early Access is something that started last year, and it's what started this trend of preview programs for games. And what it basically is, you give a developer money for an unfinished game, you get updates to that game as it is developed, and sometimes you'll hopefully influence the final product, and you'll get to play that game through its development. Usually this is what happens with multiplayer titles, as they're constantly adding in updates, and the final release happens, and then it's ignored and dies off. That's a bit of a pessimistic view, but I'm still burned from previous purchases and that. But anyways, it was popular enough that it went from PC to console. Both PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One have their own game preview programs, and now that's coming back to PC, but in the Windows Store. And yeah, you'll be able to buy games before they're completed. You'll get to pray that they're actually finished. And you'll hopefully not end up like me, who actually bought early access games and severely regrets it. I think that in general, I'm expecting a higher level of quality from the Windows Store ones, as I'd expect that Microsoft would actually vet these developers beforehand, unlike Valve. And hopefully no one ends up burned. I just know that I have, and I want my $20 back. But yeah.
Well, I hate to end on a sad note, but we are done, folks. Thank you for listening to the MS Power User Podcast.
And I think we should have. I think before the outro, I think we should just have one reminder that we are, like mentioned in the opening, which I think we kind of glossed over it. This has been recorded a day early due to scheduling issues, and it is released at the same time as usual. So there's just this one kind of dark hour day, dark day that's just off the calendars this one time. Hopefully a slow news day.
Yep. And who knows? We are recording this. You're hearing this obviously after we're recording it, which could not be possible. The opposite could not be possible, actually. You can follow the site, follow MSPoweruser on Twitter at MSPoweruser. And of course, by doing so, the latest episodes are posted that way. But if you want to get the show even sooner, basically subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app. You guys know the drill. If you like, you can share a review. I should say, if you like the show and you've made it this far, you should share a review on wherever reviews are shared and viewed. And you can interact with us individually on Twitter. I'm at Vernon EL on Twitter, and Andy is at FusionFan45. That's about it. Wow, I'm trying to find a good way to end this. Have a great...
have a great week, everyone.
Yeah, that. Later.